Welcome along everyone to a track guide like you've never seen before, but it might be the most helpful track guide you've ever seen. We're in Gran Turismo 7. We're here at the Red Bull Ring, which happens to be Daily Race C this week in the Group 3 cars. And most other track guides you'll see, including the ones that I do, might be a little bit out of reach. They might just be too sort of quick to really understand. So I'm going to do something here that I think everyone can understand and is super useful for this track. Now, before I start, I want to say a big thank you to GT Omega for sponsoring this video. They make the GT Omega Prime rig that I'm sat in, absolutely rock solid rig. They also make the Prime Lite, which I'm going to be reviewing shortly. Go check out gtomega.com. Use my code Kireth5. Get yourself 5% off some of the best sim racing rigs you can get. Seriously, if you're looking for a rig, check it out. But to start with this video here, it's going to be about track limits, because absolutely critical at Red Bull Ring and can be really arbitrary. So the track limits here for turn 1 are actually going wider than this red and white curb. So you do want to be over the white line here actually if you want to maximize the entry. So we're normally braking about the 100 meter board, and then we come here, we want to start turning around 50. You do want to be over, but you can see here this is going to be okay. But if I get this wide over the red and white curb, then we will get the penalty. And this, if you get penalties in this race, I don't need to tell you, it ruins your race. We don't do that. So don't go running with the white curb here. This corner here, you can get a cheeky penalty if you cut this too much. Now we should be, if you want to get the best possible line, we should actually be trying to really swallow this curb down the middle of the car. A bit like going over a speed bump so we don't unsettle it. But if you go too far, I've got to go back here and show you exactly what I mean. If you go too far to the right hand side, you'll end up here with a moment where all 4 wheels are not on the curb, and that again will get you penalty. This one here is a little bit unusual, so by rule of thumb basically, if you go over the sausage like that, you're going to get yourself a penalty. So you can definitely ride the sausage, as people used to say in karting, used to go karting on sausage curbs. You can ride it like this and then come back off. But if you go all the way over, now if you do go all the way wide but you sort of lift off the throttle, sometimes you can get away without a penalty rejoining, but you're normally losing time in the scheme of things, which is how it should work. Now, I don't imagine that any of you are going to be cutting the corner here. This is technically a corner, or the next one is, but just going to ignore that. We're going to go into what is really turn 2, but they call it turn 3. So let's do that going up the hill. And again here, same principle. You don't need to open this one up as wide as turn 1, but don't go all the way off the red and white curb. Now you can get a penalty here again by cutting it, but it's actually very difficult to cut this curb. So almost impressive if you do. And again here, if you go over, I think this one is actually not the sausage. I think this one is just the red and white curb. So if you go over here, you're not going to be okay, and if you go over there. Now if you're getting squeezed wide on the exit of that corner and someone's made contact, you can go wide without getting a penalty. That's how GT works. And we're going to come down here to the very tricky... By the way, let me know in the comments, do you want to see more secret track limit track guides from me or not? I also do sim racing coaching as well, so go to sim.doctor, www.sim.doctor if you want to check that out. Again, same principles here, but it's very difficult to go wide here on entry. You can actually end up cutting this corner. My line through here is really aggressive on this one, because I really don't like the exit this corner, so I like to get my rotation done here. So you can cut that, and you can also run wide here, but normally if you're running wide, you're going to be dipping a wheel on the gravel before you get the track limit, which can be very deadly in terms of spinning the car, just you lose loads of time. Now, you can also get a track limit. Yeah, this is a circuit where literally every corner you can get a track limit. Violation, as they say. So if you go too wide here, because you do want to open up these corners, you get a track limit like that. This one is basically impossible to get a track limit. Fair play. Because sometimes I do turn in too early, like, oh, turn in too early here, I'll have to get on the power again, then come run again. This one, super easy to get a track limit, super easy, because you want to run wide, you feel like it's a good line, and before you know it, you've gone off the red and white curbs. We're not talking white lines here like Formula 1, we're talking curbs a lot of the time. Now this one on the inside, very difficult to get a penalty here, but super easy to get a penalty on the exit. I mean super easy. Look at this corner. Just the way you're coming onto it really invites a penalty, doesn't it? So really easy to get a penalty here just by going wide. That's red and white curb. And also some people get a penalty here by just sort of being a bit lazy. Like, please don't get a penalty here. Next corners are also really tricky for penalties, especially if you're doing a qualifying lap and you're coming to the end of your lap. You don't want to be getting a penalty here. I can assure you of that. So if you come right to here, you get a penalty, but that's actually quite difficult to do. It's also quite difficult to really cut this one. But this is the one here. This, again, we're talking red and white curb. So you might follow someone who's like this, and they don't get a penalty, but you might be just a little bit wider, and you will get the penalty because it's the red and white curb. And that's really easy and frustrating to do because it's not worth the time that you gain to risk getting a penalty, to put it bluntly. This one, if you get a penalty inside here, good job, because you're actually aggressive on this corner. Just dial it back a little bit. You can get a penalty there. And it's also super easy and frustrating to get. Do not get a penalty. It's not worth it. If you're in danger of getting a penalty here, you're either not going fast enough, paradoxically, or you're going to have to end up really scrubbing off the speed here to avoid the grass. So it's just not worth getting a penalty there. So I really hope that's helped. That is the penalty secrets of the Red Bull Ring. Super helpful for daily racing this week. Check out my other track guide for this track around the video. Please subscribe if it's helped you, and I will see you all next time.